Hey guys, Christian here, and welcome back to another YouTube video. So today I'm going to be showing you guys my gaming setup for late 2022 to 2023, and this is probably going to be my setup for my setup video for the year, like basically where I've progressed in my setup. I've added some cool new stuff since the last time. My last video did pretty well, so I'm not sure how well this video will do on this topic. So yeah, I'm going over my setup tour. And some improvements I made. There were a lot of improvements. No, I haven't really bought anything for my set for quite some time now, probably for a few months. So I just haven't really had anything else to really put in it. But I'll just go over everything that's in my setup. I've been mostly just spending money on other stuff, so on games and any spare money, and on mobile stuff, like this smartwatch and my new phone, because my old phone was having problems and I couldn't record this video until I got a new phone. So, fun fact, but yeah. So let's get into it. So first of all, let's start out with the PC. Probably the most important part of any gaming setup, and it's really going to determine how well your setup performs. So first of all, we have the actual PC itself. Now, this is a computer. I built this back in 2021, and I haven't upgraded it since then. So I'll go over all of the upgrades I made and what's currently in it. So first of all, the CPU we're using, we are no longer using a 3700X. I am now using a Ryzen 9 5900X. It's a CPU I got on sale quite a while ago. It's a really nice CPU in my opinion. You're getting it's 12 cores, 24 threads. It is now currently a last gen CPU because they don't have the new generation out, but I have no plans on upgrading the CPU, at least for many years, because that would require a new motherboard purchase, a new RAM, and it's just so expensive that I just don't want to go through with it right now until it really makes sense. So the 5900X, I believe I picked that thing up for, actually I got that thing for free. Funny story, I bought it off Amazon, and it charged my card for a little bit, but it didn't go, I got the product, but the payment didn't go through, so technically I didn't even pay for the CPU. So I got a $400 CPU for free, so that's actually kind of cool. So I've been using that CPU. It's honestly a really nice CPU. I've really had no lag on my computer with that processor. The 5900X is just an absolute beast processor. So yeah. Cooling it, I'm using the Noctua, I forget, it's just like that one mid-sized dual fan Noctua cooler, not the giant one, the smaller one. It's a pretty nice cooler, two dual fan cooler. It works great with this processor, keeps it pretty cool and under control. It is definitely a very nice CPU cooler. Works very well. So as you see, it is of course Noctua, like it a lot. It was like $120, but it was definitely worth it. I prefer air cooling over water cooling. Some people that might be a little bit different. They might, but for me, that's just what I genuinely prefer is air cooling. I feel like air cooling is just, I like it better. There's less risk of water leaking and stuff like that. So that's why I prefer to use air cooling. Next up, for my RAM, I'm using a 4x8 configuration of G-Skill Ripjaws 5 3200 MHz DDR4, so a total of 32 gigabytes of RAM. So it is more than enough RAM for what I use my computer for. I've thought about maybe going to 64, but then I realized that I probably don't need it. So 32 gigs is perfect for this computer. Which definitely haven't had any issues with running out of RAM in most cases. The only thing if I've tried messing around with After Effects, but I don't really use it that often, so I don't really need more RAM. So yeah, I think 32 is perfectly adequate for the system, and it should be adequate for many years. So yeah, I originally had 16, but I went to 32, as you guys all know. So yeah, the motherboard I'm using is the ASUS B550M Plus Wi-Fi, not the second iteration of it, the first iteration of the board. I don't think they sell the first iteration of the board anymore, actually, so they have the second one, but this is the original version of the board. It's a pretty decent board, gets the job done, has all the features you'd want, 4 DIMM slots, M.2, storage, all that stuff, all the basic features you would want out of a motherboard for a modern gaming PC. It isn't anything fancy, But, you know, for what I need it for, it's perfectly okay. And I definitely would rather just spend, like, get, like, a motherboard under $200. Like, this motherboard cost me, like, I believe $160 at that time. So, or $170. So it was a lot, definitely, it's definitely a cheaper motherboard. I don't like spending more than $200 on a motherboard just because you don't really get much from spending more. For fans, I'm using the Arctic P12 PST 120mm PWM fans, whatever. I use 6 of them, so 1 in the back for outtake, 2 on top for outtake, and then 3 in the front for intake. This one fan is inside, while these are outside, because this fan will actually fit on the outside with all the other 2 fans. You actually have to have one inside. I actually looked online, like, why won't it fit? And basically it's because they poorly designed the case, so basically one fan is actually sticking inside. So they say it can support 3 120 mils in the front. It can, but you have to do it like this because it won't fit it. So that's just how it is. For the SSDs, I'm using a 1TB Samsung 980 SSD and a 500GB Samsung 980 SSD. I'm using a 1TB System Cuvo SATA SSD, a 1TB Team Group AX2 SATA SSD, and then 2 hard drives. One is a 1TB and one is a 2TB. Both are just random Seagate drives I pulled out of old computers I had lying around. I did like merge them together into like one volume, so it's basically on my computer. It just shows up as a 3TB hard drive. So yeah, it's basically if like to put older games on, or like YouTube footage and stuff that doesn't necessarily need like super fast storage to use. So, you know, it's just there. So yeah. Next up, for the graphics card, I'm using the Zotac Gaming Trinity OC 3070 Ti. Very good video card. It's for those who don't know how fast this card is, it's basically like it's a little bit faster than the RTX Titan in some cases, from the Turing generation. It beats out the 2080 Ti by a decent amount, so it basically is slightly better than what you get out of a high-end card back in 2019, and it's honestly pretty great. It runs pretty much most games at 2K, near max settings or max settings at pretty decent frames per second. Usually often well above 60. Of course, I think that anything below 48 is honestly, if it's 48 FPS and above, I typically find it playable, especially if you're playing with the controller. I feel like it's playable, but you know, because I do play a lot of games on my computer with just the controller. This is the card I use. It does have RGB, but I turned all the RGB off in this computer. The only thing that have RGB is this card, and there's a little strip on the motherboard that has it, but I turned it off, of course. Of course, one thing I would like to point out, some people might find this weird. The reason I have the power cables like this and like have this giant industrial zip tie holding it is simply because the thing is, this card has had issues with sagging. So if it sags down a little bit, without pulling this up, the fans will actually scrape against like the sides of it, like the shroud or whatever you call it. And it can make like a really annoying noise, and it's definitely not something you want happening. So I took these cables, I kind of forced them up and then hoisted them up with a zip tie. I just bought like some zip tie because I got like a bunch of like industrial zip ties or whatever, like powerful zip ties from Ace Hardware. So I'm just using like definitely this is not a computer zip tie at all. This is a zip tie you'd use for stuff, you wouldn't use this in a computer, but it was strong. It's long, strong, and it is most importantly very heat resistant. So it's not going to melt in my case. So, you know, I wanted to make sure it was very heat resistant because this computer can get kind of hot. So yeah. So that's why I have that. For the case, I'm using the Cooler Master Masterbox MB311L. It's a micro ATX case that was pretty cheap at the time. It's not a great case, to be honest, but you know, it has decent airflow, so it gets the job done. As you can see, it has a bunch of dust on it. I literally just took out the front panel and vacuumed it out like a week ago, and now it's just completely covered with dust again. So yeah, I basically the good thing I have a dust filter because all that dust would be in here if it wasn't for the dust filter. So yeah. Next up, let's go into my desk setup. So the desk I am using is the IKEA Freddie desk. This desk I had shipped to me because I didn't want to drive 2 hours down to Columbus or Pennsylvania to get a desk. So I ordered it. It ended up coming out to around $400 when I bought it. Because of shipping costs. To ship a huge ass desk like this, and it's a pretty nice desk. It is. Some people see it as like a very very weird desk. I've had someone say, "Oh, that desk is a little weird." It is, but there's a lot of cool stuff about this desk. Like I've been able to put stuff in this setup that you typically don't see in a lot of other gaming setups, just because of the way the desk is designed. And you'll see that soon. I also am using a $100 Sam's Club chair because I had a gaming chair for a little bit, but it kind of fell apart and it didn't last that long. It was like almost $200, so I just went and bought like a $100 office chair, and this thing has actually been holding up pretty well. I've had this. I forget when I got this. I think I got this earlier this year, like early this year. This chair from Sam's Club. It's about $100. Pretty nice chair. It's a decent chair. I don't. I mean, I see people spend like shit tons of money on a chair. Honestly, as long as it's halfway decently comfortable, it's fine. This chair is okay to sit in. It's not a fancy chair or nothing, but I ain't the kind of guy who wants to drop like $500 on a gaming chair or some dumb shit like that. That you might only keep around for a few years before you buy another one, because these things don't last that long. In the way I use them, so yeah. But this thing has been able to take a pretty big beating, and it's actually there's no like scratches and stuff like that, because like the old one, like the front ends right here, like they were falling off, like the front side of it, like you can see like the leather just kind of flaking off and stuff on my old chair, and just all over the place, and it just generally looked like a fucking piece of shit. I'm gonna put my watch on. This is my Galaxy Watch 4, because I cheaped out and got the Galaxy Watch 4 instead of the Galaxy Watch 5 because it was a Prime Day sale. So yeah. So obviously, I don't feel like spending a bunch on a chair is really worth it, because you're really not getting a whole lot from spending a bunch on a chair. It's a little bit of a waste of money. Next up, let's go into my monitors. Both these are gaming monitors. So I have the first monitor, the main one I use is a ViewSonic 2K 144 hertz monitor. It's IPS, 27-inch. AMD FreeSync. Of course, it works with video cards too, because FreeSync works on video cards. Pretty decent monitor. Definitely not the best looking monitor out there, I'd say. It was about $230 when I bought it, and at the time, a monitor with this specs for $230 was actually fairly cheap. You were typically seeing monitors at the time when I bought this for around over $300, so getting something like this for $230 wasn't necessarily. It was actually a pretty good deal for the time. Of course, nowadays there are more options in that price point than there were about in 2021. But, for the time, it was pretty nice, and it is a decent looking monitor. It's, decent resolution. Definitely the colors, I feel like, are not the greatest, but it's definitely an alright monitor. Of course, both of them have height adjustability. I definitely need height adjustability just because of the way my desk is designed, just so I can fit these monitors under my desk. Next up, we have an Asus 27-inch IPS 1080p 280Hz monitor. Has G-Sync on it. Is the other monitor I use. This is if I might swap between the monitors every once in a while. This is if I want to get a little kind of competitive in gaming. This is just for like casual play, this monitor. This is more if I want to be somewhat competitive, because 280 hertz is actually a pretty nice refresh rate for a monitor. Once you start getting above like 240 hertz, you start to see kind of, you don't really get much more for how much you pay for it. This monitor, I bought this monitor before I bought this monitor. This monitor cost me about $250 back in 2021, which today I've actually looked at this exact same monitor, and that's actually about what this monitor costs today. But at the time, this monitor was going for like almost $400, so getting this for $250 back in 2021 was actually a really nice deal. Of course, now a year later, this monitor's gotten a lot cheaper, but at the time, this is honestly a pretty good deal, and I've been using this monitor for about a year now. It's a really good monitor. I love it. Both these monitors, I love these monitors. Of course. So yeah. Next up, my TV. This is a 2021 Samsung QLED TV. I bought it around Christmas time because I got some Christmas money. Decided to buy myself a TV. This is a 4K 60 Hz QLED TV. I believe it's using a VA panel underneath it, all the little quantum dot things. It's a pretty decent looking television. I'd say the picture quality is alright. It was $500, and it certainly isn't, you know, an OLED TV. Like now OLED TVs are actually getting so cheap that you can probably for $900 you can get an OLED TV nowadays. But I bought this one. That stuff is still expensive. This is a pretty decent TV. It's pretty much a budget-ish, like I'd say it's more of like a mid-range TV. It's 43 inches. It's more of a mid-range TV for its time. I'd say like I consider $500 to be about mid-range for a television. So, you know, this is the TV that I'm using. I'll use it as like a giant monitor. Like if I'm playing a game on it, I'll just sit back in my bed and play games with my controller on the TV. Because the 37 Ti can handle a lot of stuff in 4K 60 FPS. So it's kind of cool just playing the big screen sometimes. Or, you know, if I want to watch like a movie or an anime and just lay in my bed, I can pull it up and watch it on there. So yeah, those are my displays. Let's get into the other peripherals. So the next peripheral is going to be my speaker setup. And you'll see a lot of gaming setup videos on YouTube, even by large YouTubers. And I gotta be honest, I probably have spent more on my speaker than most YouTubers will. So the speaker I'm using is the Bose TV soundbar. This is a $280 soundbar at the time I bought this back in 2021. This soundbar, I honestly really love this soundbar. It just makes everything on your computer sound so absolutely incredible. It just fills the whole room with sound. In fact, it could fill the whole house if I wanted it to. But I keep the thing down at somewhat lower volume. And stuff on here sounds amazing. I'll listen to music. It sounds amazing. I'll play a game and like it literally sounds like a cinematic movie in a theater playing a game on this, you know. Like I'll play God of War and like you'll hear like this one like Snake the World Serpent like talking and it just sounds so fucking incredible, dude. So like the whole soundbar, it's just an absolutely incredible thing to have. It hooks up to the optical connection on the back of my motherboard, and I'm just gonna say the reason why, the thing is most desks can really not fit a soundbar, because if you look at a lot of times desks are just flat things you fit the monitors on. You don't really have room for a soundbar, or it's very hard to find room for it. But you see how the desk is with like this compartment under it, and you have the monitors that are kind of raised. The soundbar is under that compartment, so it just fits perfectly with a desk. It's black, so it just blends perfectly with the desk, I feel like. And in pictures, you really can't notice it too much, but, you know, it's basically just a nice little speaker grill thing. It's just really awesome to have something like this, so, yeah. Next up, we have the webcam and the light. So, I have a Logitech C922 Pro webcam. It's capable of 1080p 30 FPS recording or 720p 60 FPS. It's no longer the webcam Logitech is really pushing for streamers anymore. At the time it was. I paid $100 for it at the time. Nowadays you can get one for about like $70. So it has gone down in price. So if you do want this webcam, you can get it for cheaper. It's not the greatest looking camera in the world, you know, but for a cheap USB, fairly reasonably priced USB webcam, it gets the job done. I've had no real reason to upgrade it. I simply mainly just use it in like the corner of my screen. You'll see my videos, and I'll use like a program called NVIDIA Broadcast, so they'll put like a green screen, create like a fake green screen, and then I'll like remove it in OBS Studio. And that's how you get somewhat of a green screen effect, because I do not own a green screen. I simply just don't have room for a green screen in my room, and I really don't feel like buying one, just because buying stuff for YouTube, honestly, like I don't make much money off it, so buying stuff specifically just for my YouTube channel has something that I've kind of stopped doing as much. So it's not something I really care too much about. The next thing, of course, I have a literal light. This is a $60 light. It can control with software. You can change like the way the lights work and stuff. Like you can change like how hot or cold it is, you know, the brightness and all that stuff. It's a pretty decent light. It illuminates my face pretty well. I'll use it to like illuminate my face in some of my videos, like if it's pretty dark, if you can't really see me too well, and it gets the job done. The reason I paid $60 for it instead of buying a cheap one is simply just because I control the software instead of having to get up and mess with it, which is kind of annoying. So yeah. Next up, we have some other peripherals, and these are all my desk peripherals. So those are all my monitor and speaker peripherals. So, you know, let's get all to my desk peripherals. So first of all, let's start out with the microphone. Probably the most expensive part of this desk is the microphone. So the microphone setup, I'm using the Samsung MBA 28 boom arm. I believe I paid $50 for this at Micro Center. I have a Blue Yeti microphone. It is an aging microphone. It's definitely not the best sounding microphone you can get anymore. for the price. It has actually gone down. I paid $130 for it, but you can now find them for like $90 on Amazon. So they have gone down in price just because there's simply just better USB microphones nowadays. But it is a pretty decent microphone. Honestly, I still use it. I don't plan on upgrading it because I don't make money off YouTube. I do make money, but not a whole lot. So it's not necessarily something I feel like upgrading. I did earn the money back from this whole microphone setup though off of YouTube. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So, and I have the foam cover. I got it on Amazon for like $8 just to move pops. I initially had like a big pop filter on it. But the problem with that giant pop filter is that it would cover up my face, and if I was like trying to talk with someone through a microphone, it would cover up my whole face and obstruct it. No one really wanted to see that, so that's why I'm using a foam cover on this. It is actually I prefer the foam cover, to be honest. Especially if you're like doing like omnidirectional stuff, like stuff where it's like omnidirectional stuff with a microphone. It's covered at all sides. Next up, we have my headset. This is the HyperX Revolver 7.1 surround sound headset. It was an $80 headset. No, it was not. I paid $90 for it, but I paid $90 for this headset. It sounds pretty decent surround sound. It's really comfortable with my ears. Like it doesn't put pressure in your ears at all or anything. So it's very comfortable to wear. The microphone on it, I can detach it. I usually have it detached. I just put it on there for reasons, just to play around with it. The microphone on that thing honestly sucks ass. I don't use it, so I often will have it detached and use my Yeti, obviously. I would not use a headset microphone for YouTube, guys. It's not even like good if you're starting out. You're better off just buying a cheap like $40, $50 USB mic and using it instead of using this piece of shit thing. So yeah, it does provide me with good sound. You'll see my videos because the block echoing, and it is actually a really good sounding microphone. Like the sound on it is actually pretty good. No complaints there. I definitely think this headset is a pretty solid headset for the money. Next up, we have the original Elgato Stream Deck. I bought this on a Prime Day deal for $100. It was only $20 more than the Mini. And it gives you 15 things. As you can see, I haven't used all 15 yet, but I haven't played around with it. I've been basically trying to use it in my OBS streaming thing. So if I ever get back to live streaming, I'll definitely use this thing. Pretty decent, pieces of technology. The Stream Deck, definitely would say, it's definitely something that if you are a streamer, it's definitely something that's worth it, I'd say. I didn't get the Mark II. The only benefit of the Mark II you really get is a longer cord, and you can maybe customize the plate, but I have a USB hub already, so I didn't necessarily need the longer cord. I have a USB hub. It's like has a long cord. It connects to the computer just because of how far it is to reach my desk. So yeah, definitely I saved myself like $50 and just got the cheaper one, because honestly paying $50 more for just the new one was just kind of dumb. Next up, we have the PC Panel Pro. I forget how much. I think I paid like $90 for this thing. It's a device that lets you control the audio of your audio and stuff on your computer, and it's mainly used. I mainly use it as a media controller, to be honest. I haven't really found any other uses for it, other than as maybe a media controller. But it is you can change stuff in OBS. It's just kind of a cool thing that I bought just because it was an impulse buy. I saw it on YouTube. It can just I set it up to slide this up, change my audio and stuff. It definitely feels a little cheap though. I'll say that. That's my main complaint about this. For how much you pay for this, I think it feels a tad bit cheap. As you can see, if I use the Realtek thing, I use Realtek. I have so many audio sources because my monitors and stuff, the speakers, and my TV does. As you see, I can slide this up, and it can basically adjust it up and down, which is kind of cool. It basically lets me control my sound pretty well. Was it worth it? Probably not, but it was just YouTube money, so I didn't really care too much. I usually just use that and then dump straight anyway. I don't really care about my YouTube money is spent on. I just buy dumb stuff with it anyway, just to mess around with it. So yeah. Next up, for my keyboard, it is a custom keyboard I built for about $125. Very cheap for a custom keyboard. So my keyboard is using a PC Master Race base. I don't know which one it's using. I think it's GMMK1 or something. It's a $50 base. It's using some switches I got from EVGA. Some clicky bronze switches from EVGA. They're pretty decent switches. They aren't anything super special, but they're nice and clicky. And I went in and just put some like SteelSeries Prism caps on top of them. And it's definitely an alright keyboard. It isn't like the most amazing keyboard out there. It's not real media control, but you know, it's a decent custom mechanical keyboard I put together. I feel like custom keyboards are typically better than just buying a normal keyboard, so you know, I'd say definitely just get a custom board if you know what you're doing. So yeah, next up for my mouse, I'm using the Razer Ballistics V3 mouse. Pretty cool and nice mouse. I got for $50 on Amazon at a sale. It's usually 70, got for 50, and it's a decent wired mouse, very good tracking. I feel like there's nice buttons, lots of RGB on it. As you can see, it even has it on the bottom. It's actually a really solid mouse. I feel like I'd say if you want like a decent wired mouse, then getting something like this makes sense. I've seen other people with this mouse. It's just generally a good experience to use. For $50, it's just honestly a very nice mouse. Yeah, I haven't really seen any other mouse in this price point that I feel like I would buy. For the mouse pad, I'm using the SteelSeries Quick XL Nor Prism Pad or something like that. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's just this giant mouse pad that has RGB around it. It was $40 from GameStop, and it's a pretty nice mouse pad. I can control it with software. It's really nice because if you just use a typical mouse pad, like the mouse pad will just like go and slide across the desk, and it's like really annoying. But having something like this, you don't have to worry about like the mouse pad moving around or anything like that. It just stays there on your desk, and you put all your other stuff on, like your keyboard and my Stream Deck and my PC panel, other stuff I typically use. And it's just a generally pretty good experience to use, to be honest. I actually really like this mouse pad. I'd actually highly recommend this thing. Next up, we have a, I got this pretty early on. This is an Xbox Series X controller from $50 from Costco, and it has a battery pack inside of it, like something from like an Xbox One battery pack inside of it, so I can just recharge the controller. Pretty decent controller. I use it to play a lot of games on it. There's really no other reason to have this than to play games on it. Connects with Bluetooth. Pretty nice controller. So yeah, that is basically my entire setup. There really isn't anything else to really share. Some other thing I have my setup. I do have a little wire that's connected to my motherboard. This USB-C cable that came with my Z Flip 4, and I use that just to connect my phone to my computer, just to transfer stuff over to my larger storage. So let's say I need to just transfer crap to my computer, I plug this in, and I can transfer stuff over. So yeah, of course I had the remote for the soundbar, Galaxy Buds Pro, the original ones, not the new ones. You know, stuff to control the soundbar, you know, TV remote, you know. This one actually charges solar. This one requires a battery, but you know, I basically can use a battery that the battery set works with my mom's car key fob. So I've used like just batteries. I've had to replace the battery maybe once on this thing. During the entire time I've owned my soundbar, I've only had to like put a new battery in this thing once. So yeah, and I've owned it for over about a year now. And this this remote, it actually charges solarly, so I don't even have to buy batteries for this. It just absorbs light and charges the remote, so I don't have to even worry about it. So yeah, you just kind of flip it over, and you can charge it with a cable too, but I don't do that. I just kind of leave it upset like this, and I just let it charge with solar power, because it's just kind of a waste to charge it with anything else. So that's kind of how it works with my TV, and that's kind of my entire setup. So you know, this of course can just absorb light from like my monitors or something, I don't know, and just charge off my monitors that I'm already using power to run. So that's it for this video. I feel like this is honestly a pretty decent setup. Very you know, very over the top, I'll say that. I also have an Alexa, of course, an Echo Dot clock with a clock thing is what I have. And yeah, so that's the end of this video. Hope you guys like my setup. If I were to upgrade anything in setup, it probably would be to just add better computer parts in my computer, and that would probably be it. It would also be, if this TV ever dies, and most likely I'll just replace it with an OLED screen, because by the time this thing stops working, OLED TVs will probably end up being pretty affordable, so, and not be like $1,000+ typically. So yeah, that's the end of this setup. See you guys next time. Bye bye.